The moment you realized you were a gay man, you were forced onto the path of the other, so you know oppression inside and out. The calling of otherness has led you on your own hero's journey, and that journey has prepared you for greatness. You are a man answering the call to brotherhood, to conscious sex, and to heart-centered connection. Welcome home, brother. Hey, brothers. This is Mike, and this is the GerleMen podcast, and this is a Corona update in a sense. This podcast was in the works. We were planning on launching it June of 2020 on Father's Day. I had just built a studio with my business partner, and we had set it up my business partner, Garrett McClure, and my editor and showrunner, Leslie Schroeder, is making magic on her end. And we wanted to have 12 episodes in the can, 6 of them perfectly ready. And we were going to launch with that so that we gave you quality content on a regular basis. The thing is, now we need connection more than ever. And that's why we are launching now rather than waiting till June. And because of that, you may hear some problems. Like my interview with JD was the first one I had done on Zoom, and I am not happy with the audio on my end. And that's just the world we're going to have to live in for a while. It's a beautiful interview. It's got a lot to hang on to, and the sound quality is just going to have to suffer. So that's what's happening. We're launching early. And so why? Why are we launching early? Well, community is important, and it's important now more than ever. And we can create community in a new virtual way. And that's what we're doing now with this. Differently than we used to listen to podcasts before. I was very often listening to podcasts myself in very crowded spaces. And now, more likely than not, we'll be listening on our own in what I call our Corona clusters. I have 4 people in mind: my boyfriend, my business partner, and another business partner of his that uses the same space here at Axiom Arts and Studios. So, what do I mean by community is more important than ever? I think now what I mean by that is we have connections with people that we never knew we had connections with, and I want to honor that. For instance, I'm old, as you all know. I'll be 55 on 4/20, April 20th. And back in the day, I used to go to the athletic club up here on Santa Monica and West Knoll. It's now Sprouts. And that gym was open for years. It was a very, very gay gym. It did not have a women's dressing room. It was likely to be playing house music, and whenever you could work out with your shirt off. It was a glorious place to be gay, and it suddenly closed one day. And that left a huge gap. And I noticed that these guys I had never, ever talked to before, I called them my hey friends, because we'd go, hey, what's up? And we knew each other from the gym and whatnot. And then when I would see these hey friends on the streets in West Hollywood or at pavilions in the grocery store, we would stop and talk because we realized we had some sort of connection. Some connection that went beyond connections that are caused by words or formal connections. We just were used to seeing each other. We knew who shared the equipment, who didn't. I had judgments, likes, and dislikes with plenty of guys I'd never seen before. So there's that kind of community on top of the community that we're aware of our best friends, of our bio family, of our chosen family. And with those things disappearing, it's more important than ever to use this safe way to connect, connecting through technology to do that. So that's why the GerleMen podcast is launching early, because I miss the gym. My other friends miss the gym. And another way that gay men connect, other than the gym, besides parties and all that, is we usually had this thing in our pocket our phone with a hookup app on it with Grindr or Scruff or whatever else you might use. And those are ways that we have connections. And we're going to talk about that in the podcast, about how important these casual hookup connections can be and why we need to have respect for each other and care about each other during the hookups. But right now, the hookups are up in the air for me and the people I've been talking to. They're just not happening because we don't know if we'll die or not if we get the coronavirus. And so hooking up is now off the list. As far as I know, there is no safe sex. And so that is why we're launching early. We want to talk to you about your sexual paradigm completely shifting. You know, I'm in an open relationship and it's just not open anymore. My other friends in open relationships, they're not open anymore. And then my heart breaks for my friends who are single and have yet to identify a person or people they can have sex with. So how long is this going to last? How long is this sexual moratorium going to last? You know, gay men my age and my boyfriend's age, who's 38, still remember a time when having sex could kill you. And so it seems like we should maybe be used to this because of the AIDS virus, because of the plague. For all clarity, I've been HIV positive since 1987. Thought I would die before 1990, and it's 2020, and I'm here for the coronavirus. I know what it's like to face death with sex. But there's a huge difference between the coronavirus and AIDS when it comes to socialization and the way this impacts gay men. Because, as I said earlier, there's no safe sex right now. So how do we navigate this core way of connecting and what's out there beyond that? And another thing that's different about this is, as horrible as the demonization and the hatred and the vilification was for those of us affected by AIDS, and I say affected, not infected. My negative boyfriend was affected. Coworkers at West Hollywood City Hall who were neither gay or men were affected when their coworkers got sick and died. All of us were affected by AIDS. But those of us who were at risk were in a particular group, and we were set aside, and we were ostracized at some point. And because we were ostracized, our community came around us and protected us and loved us. And there was the group that was in danger of being infected, and there was the group that was infected, and then there was all the people caring for those who were infected. And the difference is now we are all in this together. We are all at equal risk of being infected. The most frail of us, those with compromised immune systems and those that are older, they are most at risk, but we are all at risk of getting the coronavirus. And that just wasn't true. All you had to do to not get AIDS was not have sex. That's not true with the coronavirus. So that's different because a lot of us, especially as older gays, actually enjoyed the part of maybe being sexual outlaws. We were rebels. We were on the outside looking in, and it felt cool to be part of the dangerous motorcycle gang of sexual outlaws. The thing is that we're all in this together this time, so we're not the other. So the coronavirus, it's made us all similar. It's made us all the same. It's made us all equally at risk. We are all hanging out in our living rooms now in West Hollywood, in Kansas City, Missouri, where my family lives, in Tucson, Arizona, where my family lives, in Berlin, where this morning I received an email, an instant message on Facebook from a friend who hosted me for 10 days when I was International Mr. Leather, from Daniel Rüster. It was a message that he died from the coronavirus. It's the first person I know who died from it. He was a beautiful man. in the sense that his heart was beautiful. He didn't know me, but we were both part of the leather community, and he trusted me. I stayed in his house for 5 days before he arrived. Slept in his bed, used his playroom, ate in his kitchen. He took me around the town and introduced me to people I didn't know. And today, a message from a bubble with his face on it, the instant message from Facebook, informed me that he's the first person I know that died from the coronavirus. That makes me really sad. So blessings to you, Daniel, wherever you are. So we're all in this together, in our living rooms, in our bedrooms, in our cohabitated space, in our walks around the block, maybe our walks through the park. And I think there's a huge opportunity in this. I've always thought that, as a yoga teacher, I always thought we will be better if we go inside and feel our hearts. If we tap into our, what I understand now is intuition. In yoga, it's called Atman. You may call it your soul or God or the eternal energy. But there is something inside each and every one of us to be discovered that has all the answers. It's an ancient wisdom that exists in every cell in our bodies. And the way to get there, the way to hear it, is to drop all the distractions that are keeping us from hearing it. This beautiful wisdom, this beautiful sense of connection, this one love does not need to be given to us. It does not need to be earned. It does not need to be taught. It's just there. And my experience is that it happens in the quiet moments. It happens when I'm meditating. It happens when I'm walking or hiking alone. It happens when I'm enjoying doing the dishes. I know that's a weird thing to enjoy, but I enjoy it. And this period, this coronavirus, forcing us all indoors to be quiet, to be alone, it is an opportunity. And I can't help but feel some optimism that we're going to come out of this better than before. Instead of this intense, polarized us and them, we are all now us. And we all have something to empathize with when we look into the eyes of that person on the street who's 6 feet away from us. And there's a knowing now. Just 2 weeks in, there is a knowing. So that makes me hopeful. So thank you for joining us early. I apologize if things aren't perfect. And when the sound and stuff is not perfect, I encourage you to focus on the content and join us where you can. If you want to comment on any of this on Facebook, you can go to @GerleMen.com. That's GerleMen. Again, GerleMen it's my last name with men behind it. Gerle Men. So GerleMen on Facebook and GerleMen podcast wherever you get your podcast. So thank you for being here. Know that I'm with you. Know that we're together. And in addition to this podcast, sharing our ideas, we'll share on Facebook, and I'll be taking your questions and answering them between our biweekly interviews with the GerleMen, the men of substance who I think who have walked these roads where these men have learned how to invest in themselves. They know how to invest in their personal relationships, and they know the gifts that gay men have for the world. Those are the men I'm talking to in between. So you can listen one week and follow along or ask a question on the other weeks. And until then, brother, know that I know you and I love you for that. All of you. Thank you.